Welcome to the Geekz 31 Days of Horror for Halloween. This is Lil.
And this is Steve.
And today we're reviewing a fan film short, which we've done some of these fan films in the past, but this is one that just came out. Dylan's New Nightmare, a Nightmare on Elm Street fan film. So for those of you who have not been with us before, we'll play for you our rating system.
This has a rating system in place that we like to call Hero to Zero. If whatever horror movie we're reviewing is terrifying only to the most infantile who get nightmares from PG-13 reboots, it gets a 0. If it's a gorgasm-inducing slaughter party that satiates your most devious and monstrous desires, it gets a hero.
Dylan's New Nightmare acts as an unofficial sequel to Wes Craven's New Nightmare. One of the most unique and high-concept installments of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I don't know who wrote this synopsis, but
somebody who really enjoyed that movie.
Really loved Nightmare on Elm Street, yes. The short picks
no,
up
not Nightmare on Elm Street. They love Wes Craven's
New Nightmare, yes. The short film picks up 25 years after the events of New Nightmare and follows Dylan Porter, Miko Hughes, which I was actually impressed to see that Miko Hughes came back to do this, although I don't think Miko Hughes really worked in 25 years.
Miko Hughes wanted to show off that he's been doing push-ups.
I mean, he was a little buff, a little swole there, But again, his heyday was
this and Mercury Rising and Jack the Bear.
Well, and he was in Kindergarten Cop, and didn't he say boys have a penis, girls have a vagina?
That was him.
Pet Sematary. So I mean, he's done some things. He is, but since Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I mean, not much. So I was actually intrigued to see that he came back for this, and I was like, oh, okay. And it's a bloody, disgusting film. Like I was like, oh, I keep forgetting that they actually are trying to make movies. The old website they used to just do movie reviews.
Spoilers.
I'm gonna give this movie a sidekick.
This is a tricky one.
It's because there are things in here I enjoy that I was actually impressed with, especially because it was low budget. It was super low budget. So I give it a sidekick. Because I kind of wanted more. I was hoping for like a beginning, a middle, and an end. Like it feels like we're just thrown into a day.
Yeah, it's not really a story. It's just kind of
just a short, and I get it. But I did like the actor who played Freddy. I wish his makeup was a little better. I know that people were impressed by the makeup, and I get it based on the budget. I'm impressed too, but I kind of wanted more. But I thought this actor, like, if you make a feature, I think he could pull it off. Like, you don't need an actor to be Freddy Krueger. I mean, Robert Englund killed the role, and he is an actor, but this guy is channeling.
Jackie Earle Haley didn't even do that bad. It was just a bad movie.
Well,
he did fine.
Bad movie, bad effects for Jackie Earle Haley. Like his Freddy face, I did not like at all. And also, he was so short. And I don't blame. It's not his fault. But like, he's standing up.
We're not reviewing that movie. I was just saying.
I
thought he did a fine job. It was just a bad.
This guy seems to be really, really good and kind of brought in that Robert Englund-esque of the character. So I give it a sidekick. I enjoyed it.
So this one's hard to put a label on because there's a lot of caveats to this movie. This is a fan film. It's not a big budget movie. This does not have a lot going on behind it. Not a lot of support. I mean, I'm sure it did have plenty of support from, the community, but not from a studio. So you're right. Miko Hughes coming back, I thought was a nice touch, and they had some nods back to the New Nightmare with the stuffed toy and all that. I thought that one of the things that I didn't like was that a lot of it was just talkie with the therapist. That was like most of and nothing really happens. It's just a exposition. We're going to see that Miko Hughes can act still, and this therapist lady kind of is okay, but that was the big chunk of the movie, of the short film, and I wasn't a big fan of that. But whenever the new Freddy came on, he nailed the mannerisms, the way that Freddy walks, the way that Freddy talks, the way that Freddy holds his claws and moves and does that stuff. He did a good job encapsulating the Robert Englund performance.
Agreed.
But that's kind of it. There's one kill, I guess.
Yep. One kill.
There's a dream sequence where some stuff happens kind of off camera. But was it the guy in the middle? Was that the guy that played Freddy?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. But either way, it's hard to because I want to give it like a sidekick, but at the same time, like these are like fans that made this shit, and they did a great job for having no real backing. But I mean, it is, like you said, it's a bloody disgusting production. It's not exactly like some guys made it with their camcorder in the backyard of their parents' house.
Right.
There was sets, there was a costume department, there was makeup, there were effects, there was a budget. So for those reasons, I do think that it gets a sidekick. I think that if it was just one big awesome dream sequence that showed off some kind of stuff, and it only was like 10 minutes long, it probably would have gotten a hero. But because so much of this short film is spent talking about trauma and this and this with the therapist, that's a lot of time to waste when you only have a 30-minute runtime.
Agreed. I think, if I was putting this up against other fan films,
this doesn't hold a candle to those Jason ones.
I was about to say, like, the Jason ones were really good, but also those were like feature length, right? Like those were pretty long.
They were around 35, 40 minutes.
Were they? I swear I thought they were longer than that, but maybe
no.
Then, you know what? Maybe it's because like we watched like
we watched them back to back.
So it feels like it was like longer, but maybe you're right. But I did enjoy this Freddy, and that's why I want to give it credit. Like I mean, nothing bad about Miko Hughes. I mean,
he was fine.
He's an actor. He knows what he's doing. But I didn't care about Dylan's character in the first place. And Wes Craven's a Nightmare. I just cared about Freddy, and was curious about Nancy. And I kind of wish they would have gone more into why Nancy's institutionalized now. Like why she's not.
Why is he crying when she calls when we don't have any backstory to this?
Yeah. So that was the only thing I was just a little like, I wish I would have known more, because it seems like something more could have happened with this. So, but that's neither here nor there. It's a good film. We're not going to go into spoilers here because it's a short. It's free on YouTube. You can watch it. It's 35 minutes. I do think you should watch it if you're a fan of horror. I think you'll get a kick out of things. But Steve, I forgot to say the reason why the guy in the middle looks so familiar is he was in 13 Fanboy, which we just reviewed. He was the husband because he was in Friday the 13th.
It's a lot of the same crew, I think, because they were talking about the Hatchet movies and that 13 Fanboy too.
Yeah. So
also, I thought for a quick second that because in New Nightmare he had it was a black and red sweater, not a green and red sweater.
No, it was green and red. It was brighter green. Yeah, it was a brighter green. Yeah. Because
it looked like it's been a minute since I've seen New Nightmare. And I know we actually did that for 31 days, so it hasn't been that long, but it was since then. But when Freddy first came out in this, it looked like he had a black and red sweater because of the way the lighting was. And I was like, man, that looks cool. I kind of like that. Like it's just kind of, there's like a different, like it's darker, right? Like in his face was darker. He had these big kind of circles around his eyes, and so like I was kind of into that. The hat seemed to have a lot more holes and shit in it. And I thought, especially at the end when he puts on the big black trench coat, I thought having the black and red sweater would have been a really cool look. But, the green and red, classic.
Yep. It's still green and red, but yeah. if you don't know the history of the green and red, it's because those two colors don't mesh on screen, and Wes Craven did that on purpose to mess with your vision. So,
I thought it was because Freddie liked Christmas.
he does love Christmas, but yes,
He got cooked alive when he was wearing his ugly sweater.
All right, well, that's it for tonight. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. This is Lil.
And this is Steven. Until tomorrow night, everybody, keep it creepy.